Dublin lay enveloped in darkness, but for the dim light of the moon that shone through the clouds, here and there through the city, machine guns and rifles broke the silence of the night. Republicans and free starters were waging civil war. On a rooftop, a Republican sniper lay watching. Beside him lay his rifle, and over his shoulder were slung a pair of field glasses. His face was the face of a student, thin and astic, but his eyes had the cold gleam of a fanatic. They were deep and thoughtful, the eyes of a man who is used to looking at death. He was eating a sandwich hungrily. He'd eaten nothing since morning. Then he paused for a moment, considering whether he should risk a smoke. It was dangerous. The flashlight might be seen in the darkness. There were enemies watching. He decided to take the risk. Placing a cigarette between his lips, he struck the match and inhaled the smoke hurriedly and put out the light. Almost immediately, a bullet flattened itself against the parapet of the roof. The sniper took another whiff and put out the cigarette. Then he crawled away to the left. Cautiously, he raised himself and peered over the parapet. There was a flash, and a bullet whizzed over his head. He dropped immediately. He had seen the flash. It came from the opposite side of the street. Just then, an armored car came across the bridge and advanced slowly up the street. It stopped on the opposite side of the street, 50 yards ahead. The sniper's heart beat faster. It was an enemy car. He wanted to fire, but he knew it was useless. His bullets would never pierce the steel that covered that gray monster. Then round the corner of a side street came an old woman, her head covered by a tattered shawl. She began to walk to the man in the turret of the car. She was pointing to the roof where the sniper lay. An informer, the turret opened. A man's head and shoulders appeared, looking towards the sniper. The sniper raised his rifle and fired. The head fell heavy on the turret wall. The woman darted towards the side street. The sniper fired again. The woman whirled around and fell with a sudden shriek into the gutter. Suddenly, from the opposite roof, a shot rang out, and the sniper dropped his rifle with a curse. The rifle clattered to the roof. The sniper thought the noise would wake the dead. He stopped to pick up the rifle. He couldn't lift it. His forearms was dead. Christ, he muttered, I'm hit. Dropping flat onto the roof, he crawled back to the parapet. Then he lay still, closing his eyes. He made an effort of will to overcome the pain. In the street beneath, all was still. The armored car had retired speedily over the bridge, with the gunner's head hanging lifeless over the turret. The woman's corpse lay still in the gutter. The sniper lay for a long time nursing his wound, an arm, and planning escape. Morning must not find him wounded on the roof. The enemy on the opposite roof covered his escape. He must kill that enemy, and he could not use his rifle. He had only a revolver to do it. Then he thought of a plan. Taking off his cap, he placed it over the muzzle of his rifle. Then he pushed the rifle slowly upwards over the parapet until the cap was visible from the opposite side of the street. Almost immediately, there was a report, and a bullet pierced the center of his cap. The sniper slanted his rifle forward. The cap slipped down into the street. Then, catching the rifle in the middle, the sniper dropped his left hand over the roof and let it hang lifelessly. After a few moments, he let the rifle drop down the street. Then he sank into the roof, dragging his hand with him. Crawling quickly to the left, he peered up the corner of the roof. His ruse had succeeded. The other sniper, seeing the cap and rifle fall through, thought that he had killed the man. He was now standing before a row of chimney pots, looking across with his head clearly silhouetted against the western sky. The Republican sniper smiled, lifted his revolver above the edge of the parapet. The distance was about 50 yards, a hard shot in the dim light. His right arm was paining him like 1,000 devils. He took steady aim. His hand trembled with eagerness, pressed his lips together, and took a deep breath through his nostrils and fired. It was almost defended with the report, and his arm shook with the recoil. Then, when the smoke cleared, he peered across and uttered a cry of joy. His enemy had been hit. He was reeling over the parapet in his death of agony. He struggled to keep his feet, but he was slowly falling forward as if in a dream. The rifle fell from his grasp, hit the parapet, fell over, and then clattered onto the pavement. Then the dying man on the roof crumbled up and fell forward. The body turned over and over in space and hit the ground with a dull thud. Then it lay still. The sniper looked at his enemy, falling, and he shuddered. The lust of a battle died in him. He became bitten by remorse. The sweat stood on his forehead, weakened by his wound, and the long summer day of fasting and watching on the roof. He revolted from the sight of the shattered mass of his enemy dead. His teeth chattered, began to gibber to himself, cursing the war, cursing himself, cursing everybody. He decided to leave the roof now and look for his company commander to report. Everywhere around was quiet. There was not much danger going through the streets. Where the sniper reached the street, he felt a sudden curiosity, as if to identify the enemy sniper whom he had killed. He wondered, did he know him? Perhaps he had been in his own company before the split in the army. He decided to risk going over and have a look at him. In the upper part of the street, there was a heavy firing, but around here all was quiet. The sniper darted across the street. A machine gun tore up the ground around him with a hail of bullets, but he escaped. He threw himself face downwards beside the corpse. The machine gun stopped. Then the sniper turned over the dead body, and looked into his brother's face.